So ladies and gentlemen, this is our bird, 3.5 pounds. We are going to take it into an 8-piece, bone-in, long back removed cut. That means that we're going to remove both the wings, we're going to remove the leg and the thigh sections, and we are going to remove the long back from the top of the neck down to the tip of the tail, and we will split the breast cartilage, known as the breastbone, so that we have 2 separate breasts. To begin, I am going to begin with the wings. There's more than one way that you can cut a bird. There's more than one way we can do anything in culinary. I prefer to begin with the wings because I find that by leaving the leg and thigh on, I have better balance. So I am going to turn the bird over. We are going to take the wing and turn it at a slight angle like this, putting pressure on it. That allows us to pull the tendon right here, and we can see the slight fat line that's running right here. The bird will tell you where it should be cut because we do not cut bone. We cut only cartilage and meat. So if we come in right on that line, you will hear a slight snap, and that's where we have loosened that cartilage, and we're coming straight into the socket where that joint is. And you can see right here we have the connective cartilage on each side, and we have the smooth ball of that joint where that would move for that bird. We are coming in and we are cutting through the cartilage, and note, we are not cutting the bone. If you feel bone, you stop. You do not cut bone. We come in, we finish separating, leaving the majority of the meat on the breast. We have a nice, clean separation, a smooth ball, and this should be the case on every one of your joint separations that you have. We've got a nice, clean tip. This one we can then lay out. It's ready. We turn our bird, and again, we're turning so that we create a slight tension. We can see where this tendon connection is and where that joint is coming together. We're coming right in. We feel it begin to separate, and again, we come right through that joint. We have clean separation on both sides. We do not mar the breast any more than we have to, leaving it as pretty as possible, but having a nice, pretty wing that can then be served. Now we are going to take and work with our legs and thighs. And if you will look, if you'll take and pull your bird back just like this, you will see that there's a natural separation right here. You can see where this flap of skin is, and here's where the thigh is. So we're going to allow gravity to do the work. It's going to show us where we want to make that split. We are splitting that loose skin away from that bird down to the capula. There is a cap of bone, a shelf right here. And when you do this the first time, feel right here, and you'll feel where that separation is. You will also, right back here, you will feel where you can see where that joint moves in that bird. And that's where you're headed. If we take and separate this lightly, now if we just do a slight pressure with our finger right on the ball of that joint at the back and pop it out just like that, now all we have to do is come in, and again, we are not cutting bone. We're going back to try and pick up that small piece of oyster at the back and separating that out. And as you can see, we have a nice full flap on this thigh, and that's what we want. We have a nice clean joint separation. Don't be concerned about the small blood line here. That's natural. We have a little bit of excess fat. We will deal with that when we separate our leg and our thigh. But we have our oysters intact, and we have our separated leg and thigh. Now we are going to do the same thing on the other side of the bird. Again, we can pick it up, allow gravity to show us where we're going right here. If you are right-handed, this one becomes a bit more of a challenge because it's a little harder for you to work this direction. If you're left-handed, this one's right in your ballpark. Again, we're coming down to that same capula so that we have that separation and we can feel it right here. We're splitting that skin right at it. Now again, we have that small joint, popping it loose just like that, coming in for our oyster, and we're coming through and separating it out, and we have a complete clean separation, and we have a clean joint separation right there. So now what we have, and the only other thing I'm going to do, you can see where the backbone here is and where our rib cage starts, and we have this. We're going to go ahead, I split that just so that I can get it up out of my way. This side it was already split, so that I can see down into the cavity easier and see where I'm going. Because at this point, now what we are going to do is we are going to remove this long back. We do that by coming inside the bird with our boning knife, and you can see on camera where we're going, and what we're doing is coming out right here where the neck connects. By doing that, it gives us a natural guideline for removal of that long back. And we are going to score it. We have the knife into the cavity. We have it through the neck point at the front. We are scoring the breastbones and the backbones as we come down. By doing that, that allows us then to pick it up and to pull it free, like so. Now all we have holding it is the skin at the top edges of that breast. We take that loose. We now have our full long back. It has the bottom of the neck. It has the backbone that's part of the breastbone, or the breast rib cage, back of the rib cage, and we have the back with both of its pieces intact as well as the tail. So we have our full long back removed. At this point, we have 3 cuts left. The only thing I am going to do is I'm going to clean this piece up a little bit. This is just excess that we don't need on the finished bird, the finished cut. So we're going to take that off. That's going to go right here because it's for the stock pot. The other thing that we're going to do so that we keep our cuts as clean as possible is that we're going to wipe our board down just a little bit. As you are cutting anything, you get rub on the board, and that is the small pieces of meat that just come off from the friction of the meat against the board. The more of that we can keep picked up, the cleaner this piece will be when we end, and we don't have those little bitty bits all over it, so we have a nice clean cut. We'll put that in the trash can. Now, the next cut we're going to make, we have 3 cuts now. We're going to split our breast, and we're going to separate our leg and our thigh. To split our breast, this is the one time that we are going to use our chef's knife. We are going to turn our breast so that that V of that breastbone is straight to us, just like so. Now, if we will take the heel of the knife, we do not want to use the point of the knife because we can split it. We're going to use the heel of the knife. We're going to place the heel of the knife right in that V. Then we're going to give it one good hit. That's going to allow us, and if there's a little resistance right there, one more, because that's just your top of the pulley bone that we're worried about. But we get a nice even split on that, so we have 2 even halves. Bring our skin back down, spread it out, clean it up, make it look nice. If you have some less than attractive pieces, Let's go ahead and trim those off. Your guest. So now we have two nice breasts, and those are ready for service. We will place those right here. For our legs and thighs, we're going to wipe that off and make sure she's good, and we're going to pull this down tight. By doing that, we see where this fat line goes for this piece, and we want to go right through the tail edge of that fat line, and we'll go right through the joint. Just like so. It's nice and clean. We have a clean ball. At this point, we're going to take a look at our thigh. We've got some excess flesh here. We'll go ahead and trim that off so that we have a slightly more presentable piece. Same thing on this side. No matter what we were doing with the thigh, this is not something that we really want to serve to the guest, but it is, again, usable waste. It can go to the stock pot. So, we have our first leg and thigh. We repeat the process with the other leg and thigh, pulling it down tight so that we have a clear vision right here. We go through that. We get a clean separation on the joints. And again, we clean up our thigh. And we check this side. One more small cut on it. And we have our leg and thigh.